The serial killer is a figure that has concerned public opinion and attracted academic attention of various disciplines. This type of person has a disquieting personality that behind an apparent normality conceals a sadistic and ruthless personality guided by logic that escapes normal comprehension. In recent years, the phenomenon of serial killing has attracted the attention not only as a criminal but also a cultural phenomenon. Just consider literature, cinematography, and talk shows. The serial killer one has become an almost ubiquitous figure, so often come to take advantage of ancient fears that all times disturbed humanity. Given the success of those programs, it appears that curiosity is still stronger than fear. Today's society appears permeable to any kind of violence, and it should not be surprising all the way up sometimes to see these ruthless personages as negative heroes, to whom innumerable letters full of acclaim and respectful words are sent. Chronicle and fiction are interconnected. It becomes almost impossible not to confuse one another and to distinguish what is the real and what is the result of the pure fantasy or a fantasy anchored to reality. The term serial killer was created by Robert Ressler, ex-FBI agent and author of Whoever Fight Monsters, towards the end of the 1970s, defining it as an individual killing more people in different times and places without an apparent motive. Not everyone agrees with this definition. There are those who mean it as a subject who has killed at least 3 victims with the most varied motives, to define as such the professional hired assassin. The phenomenon of serial killers is dramatically growing all over the world, but contrary to what might believe, it is not a specific phenomenon related to modernity. Criminals with the assassination hallmarks have always existed. Today, we mainly hear about them because the mass media made transmission of news easier and rapid. In addition to those unknown cases, we must take into account also the most famous in our collective memory. Let us consider the Count Gilles de Rais case, a lord of great reach and immense prestige, who in the mid-16th century in France massacred, tortured, unleashed an indefinite number of children during sexual orgies to which the same victims were forced to participate and where their lifeless bodies were also used. Or the case of the Hungarian Countess Erzsébet of Bathory, who in order to preserve her youthful integrity, killed dozens of young virgins, in order to be washed in their blood. Convinced of the utility of this practice, how to forget in the 19th century in England Jack the Squarter, who killed 5 prostitutes between August and November in London 1888. Sadistically and brutally devoured their victims with a knife and mutilated their bodies. In France, a few years later, the vibrant Joseph Bacher squashed and mutilated some labourers. Italy was also shocked by horrible crimes perpetrated by serial killers. Probably the first Italian serial killer was Antonio Boggia, the so-called Milan Monster, who killed men and women in the mid-19th century and then robbed them of their possessions. A very controversial case of serial assassination has a protagonist, Vincenzo Vergeni, who strangled women because in this way he felt a very strong sexual pleasure. The problem of the serial homicide seems therefore to become evident in the modern society. It is in the United States that is emerging the problem of the serial delinquency. It is not a coincidence that the country holds the record for the highest number of serial killers. Almost all serial killings are committed in rich countries and are completely absent in poor countries. The serial killer phenomenon has a relationship that is directly proportional of the country's economic conditions. Increasing wealth and industrialization increases the number of serial murders. The more a country is wealthy and industrialized, the more it would be likely afflicted by serial murders criminal offenses. In 1985, The Forensic Sciences International magazine provided a legal medical definition. Serial murder would be a murder involving acts of suffering and brutalization such as torture, evisceration, mutilation, and acts of destruction of the corpse. Norris has identified 7 phases of serial murder, focusing on executive action. The first, auroral phase. This phase can last for months or years and is characterized by a progressive extraneousness from the present of the future killer. During this phase, the assassin imagines the homicide in his mind, and the adrenaline builds up until the trigger cause of the murderous spirit explodes and leads to what was only images the practical action. The second, pointing phase. In this phase, the assassin becomes unbreakable and compulsive in search of the prey. The third, seduction phase. In this phase, the assassin conquests the trust of the future victim. 4. Capture phase. Is the phase where the victim is picked up. 5. Homicide phase. Is the culminating phase. The homicide is concluded. 6. Totemic phase. Is the phase that immediately follows the homicide. The 7. Finally, is the depressive phase. Personally, I think that to determine such inhuman and monstrous behavior, there is not enough single cause order. After all, we are not only for the body and the psyche, but also for the experiences that we experience. Thanks for attention.